Days. All right, we'll get it figured out. Anyway, let me change this other screen. Chrome wants me to log in again on one of the computers. I got to make some changes to my vMix batch here. And I've been running it in a different setup. And ever since Windows did an update, it's a little crazy. And yes, I know that that's shimmering, but when I turn off the key, it loses the whole keyed screen, doesn't it? While I'm letting this, come on, Windows, Google. I'm all set up, psyched, and ready to go, and I got computers giving me a hard time. Oh, go away. Let's try this way. Oh, it's going to make me log it. Aye. Aye. Starting off with a bang here this morning. Let's see if that lets me in there. I always hate it when things don't quite go the way they're supposed to. But we'll get her hooked up. I always do. While that's waking up, I'm still going to check and see something there. What that does. Very strange, very strange. All right. I'll be right there, I promise you. Promise. I'm not far away, as you can imagine. I'm just trying to deal with the electronics. Electronics seem to want to give me a hard time today. But that's nothing uncommon for us now, is it? And while I'm in this mode, I'm going to turn on my air conditioner. Come on, give me full screen, thank you. All right, I think I got my act together. Well, that'd be probably kind of a reach, wouldn't it? For me to have my act together truly. But you guys know what I mean. Okay, good deal. Tell me it's right, all right? I hope it is. If it's not, you'll let me know. I'll see here on Facebook in a second. Again, good morning. Monday Methods. After a week off. Yeah, looks like I'm rolling good. What am I doing with this thing? I was just keeping this from being shiny. I hope you guys have been well. Like I say, I haven't seen you in a little while. Been doing the woodworking shows. Well, there's all kinds of people in here. Doug Miller, Steven, Doug Miller, Art, Mary Alice, Corey. Hope you guys are all doing well. So, my latest thing is the meteorites. This is pecan root burls. Changed around. Let me put them in the overhead. We'll see how crazy it looks, if it looks greenish or not. See if it disappears. So I'm going to show you how I did this, and then we're going to cast one up. So I'm going to show you how to put all the colors onto this brown one right here. And if I take off the key, I'm just kind of curious what happens if it looks okay. It's not showing craziness on there. But I'm kind of curious to see how the key is working for me with it on and off, and I'll watch that 30-second delay. So I came up with this on the fly. You know me, how I roll. Let's see, it was Friday morning before I started the woodworking shows. I came up with this idea, and it's turned out super well. And I've actually cast two of them into what I at the moment am referring to as solar winds style casting, or aurora borealis, northern lights. Haven't turned these yet. We will turn one of these today, possibly, or at least part way, assuming that I don't run out of time. Okay, these things are pretty cool. Now the first thing though that I need to do is mix up some resin, because I want the resin to be ready to pour by the time we wrap up. And usually 2 hours, hour and a half, and I'm already behind the 8 ball on the time schedule. So the first thing I'm going to do is mix up a batch of resin, right? We'll get that mixed up. We'll set it off to the side. We'll keep an eye on it with our digital thermometer so we know where it's going. Temperature-wise, I almost lost the batch on Saturday. I mixed it early, and it was got kind of warm out here, and the resin was up around 120 when I poured, and I kind of had to shift the schedule around a little bit, but we made it happen. So we'll go through. Let's go through the rudimentary pouring up of some resin, and I found a way to save on my cups. This will be about a 15-16 ounce pour, and I'm going to pop it back into the overhead. We're using the Chromacraft LV2000. This is the hardener. This is epoxy resin. It's 2-to-1 by volume. So the hardener has the amber tint to it. But I'll show you today how with the resin tints, with just a little teeny bit of tint, we can take that away. Okay? So I'm doing double duty with some of my cups here. So here goes my hardener. This is the basics, but we got to get it mixed up. And as I said, this is the Chromacraft 2000 LV epoxy resin. And for those of you who want to go a little bit bigger in volume, I was over at the plant, Chromacraft plant last week, and they have committed to me that we will develop the 7.5 gallon kit. Right now we have pint and a half, quart and a half, gallon and a half because of the 2-to-1. They said Bradley needs to be able to supply his customers at Spirocraft in 5-gallon quantities, which is a 7.5 gallon kit. And so they are bringing in the containers so that we can offer it at the 7.5 gallon kits. And obviously the price goes down per gallon when you get the larger volumes. So that is coming at you. I'm so happy that I got the new Spirocraft store turned on. If you haven't been to spirocraft.com yet and checked it out, please do. Is it completely finished? Ah, heck no. But it is up and running, and most of the products are in there. I'm still adding some. And then I'll start adding the videos, start filming the videos. The dream is going to come to fruition. Start to have videos for every product that we carry. Been years in the making, so much extra work that it took to do it. But it's been worth it. It's been worth it. I don't have any regrets. If I had a regret, it would be I wish it was done sooner. But you know, as they say, you can't rush a good thing, so that's what I'm sticking with. So I'm just cleaning out my jar. Don't want to waste any of this. This might be a little bit bigger than 15 ounces. That's the first time I've used these because, believe it or not, I switched my yogurt from the little individual cups that you've always seen me use. I started buying the big yogurt container because I've been eating more yogurt after the gallbladder surgery and all that good stuff. And so I'm kind of short on my usual yogurt cups. And these are from the Dollar Tree, but this is going to be a little bit more, so we'll have some extra resin. We'll do a couple of eggs or something, whatever. I'll come up with something to do with this extra stuff. But see, what's throwing me a curve here, I always get curveballs, is that that's a little bit more in that cottage cheese container than I was expecting for mixing purposes. So I need to run over here and find myself something larger very quickly to mix that in. And I think what I'm going to do over here in my pressure pot, I have a bowl that is pretty clean. We'll wipe it out. We'll make this our mixing bowl today. because there's no way I can stir that in there. So let's just transfer this over here, and then life will be all good. Facebook user, late's better than never. We're always welcome to have you, or always glad to have you to the party. You're always welcome, whatever time you come in. And don't forget, you can always watch the replay on YouTube or the Facebook page. I think I'm also going to look at, I can embed this stream onto the new Spirocraft page. And so maybe I may think about just taking it to Spirocraft. Make it super easy to get in there and watch. Right on Spirocraft. I'll put it in the events section. So yes, I'm using a paintbrush to mix this, because I finally used up my whisker, and I haven't been down to Dollar Tree or to Ollie's to get another one. So we'll take the temperature of this. It's fairly cool because this was out here overnight. I should have brought it into the house, but I didn't. So we'll keep an eye on this as we work, temperature-wise. Always want to be sure and mix this really well. And we'll mix it a couple of times as we go. Okay. We're just going to set this off out front while we work. Make myself a hole here. As you can imagine, I did not clean up after Saturday's event. So we just pop that back to the overhead. I'll set this right out front. I'll take its temperature, just so we know. 69 to 69. 72 is optimum, so we're about 3 degrees below what we might want for the optimum temperature. So at an hour and a half, we should be up around 100 degrees. We'll keep checking it. All right. Now, this is where the fun part starts. And I need to get another paintbrush because I just used that one. So I'm going to walk right over here. I got to go to Harbor Freight because I'm down to 2 of my chip bristle brushes. What am I going to do? So the basis for the meteorite actually is, and some of you may have these already, and I'll go to overhead, the Chromacraft acrylic cloud paints. These are the iridescent cloud paints. They look white, but when they bounce against a color, that you see the color reflection. And they're acrylics. They work great on this. And so we're going to start painting it up with these. We're going to mix the colors, blend them. They'll blend on their own. And then as I paint the piece up, we're going to get a coat of paint on it. The paint, think of the paint as our glue or binder or sizing, however you want to look at it. And then we're going to add glitter and pearlescent powders and come back and put some more glitter on, go back and forth until we build up the color that we want and the good coverage. Now, since I already have this one done, this is what we'll actually cast today with that resin. This one that we're going to paint up now, we'll just set it off and let it dry. Let me make sure there's not too much falling off of it. Now, this has been stabilized. I stabilized these a long time ago, so they have been in the vacuum chamber, stabilized with the stabilizing resin. They are super cool on the inside and just as gnarly as they can be on the outside. All right, so let me go here. Got my fresh paintbrush. I do need a glove. Definitely need a glove for this project. This is one of the times that I really do wear gloves and I need it. Hey, Rich, how you doing? I'm going to make a mess and have fun. I always have fun, and I pretty much always make a mess. All right, first color, shake it up. Looks like it's blue. I just grab them at random. And I'm going to go to the overhead. And you can see I was using this cup before, doesn't really matter. And I just squeeze in some blue. This is so simple. You could have the grandkids help with this project. And I just start dabbing it in there. And you can immediately see the blue iridescent color coming up when it's thin against the dark brown. Now normally, you know, we put these iridescent paints on a black background, but that's not an absolute requirement. It just requires a dark background. Because they need those, the particles need a dark color to bounce out off of to be active, to make the colors come through. Now, I am so curious to turn some of this because I have no idea what's going to happen when I cut through it. I know what I want to happen, and what I want to happen is to have a very fine line around between the resin and the dark or the root burl that has these colors. And then also, the way the casting goes, anything that is left in the translucent resin, I want you to see the meteorite. So that's my plan. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm hoping for. Okay. Like I said, this is our color. First, our base color and our glue. Now you could actually do this with resin as well, if you wanted to just use resin to do that. You could just use resin to stick other things on. This is just one method. You can take the spin gems. You can glue spin gems on, and I would use resin for that. You could take a burl type of thing and just take the resin like I mixed it up, paint a coat of resin on there, and literally dip it like you were dropping chicken in flour and breadcrumbs, and let it, and it would stick. All kinds of things you could do with it. This is just one method, one way. There's so many things that you could do with this, and I just like to bring you one to get those creative juices flowing, you know, and get you thinking about it. Messes are always fun. Figure out what to do with the manzanita yet? No, I haven't figured out what to do with the manzanita yet. It's in my office, waiting for the right inspiration to come along, because I don't want to waste it. So this is the violet. You can see the violet color coming up here. Yeah, Rich, I'm going to come up with a cool idea for the manzanita. I'm not sure what that will be. Hopefully it will do it justice, and I appreciate you sending me that piece of wood. So obviously you can see the need for the glove today. And these are little shelves. I'm working on the lathe, which, yeah, it's bad, but it's easier than trying to move the lathe and get on the table. But I've got my little leftover black shelf here. And I'm making sure that I get this worked well up into all the little crevices and voids, because we want that stuff to stick way up inside of there. Okay? Now let's go ahead and add our third color to the other side here. This will be the red. So what I've been doing is the paint color like this, and then I've been putting glitter on, and then I come in with the pearlescent powders, the dry pearlescent powders, and I actually kind of dry brush them on, even though I'll use the same brush. So it's not a true dry brush technique, but it works great. You'll see how I put them out on a paper towel, and I just bring them in with the brush and add them to the piece. And it's all about layers. We're building layer after layer of colors, so that when the piece is done, and then when you cut through it, you have those layers. And if you don't, where you don't cut through, layering brings so much more interest to a piece. It really does. Okay, so we've got blue showing there. That is red, kind of reddish, and then the violet. And it looks a lot of the white, but as the white dries away, plus as we put the other colors on, you won't even see the whites. You won't even see this color, but it's underneath. It's giving us a good background. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, buddy? Okay, time for paper towel. And I think I got my fan on high. Let me get my fan down on low so it doesn't blow the paper towel totally away. I'll pop back over here for a second. Been having fun with the woodworking shows. I know a few of y'all have popped in. I know Corey's been by. Been fun. We're out there Friday and Saturday, 11 to 6. I do 2 seminars on Friday and 2 seminars on Saturday. And I jump back and forth. When I'm doing the educational seminars, I have this backdrop. And when I'm doing Spiracraft retail booth as a vendor in the trade hall, I have the tool backdrop. So it's a lot of fun. I just switch a few things. And I spend the day out here talking to a lot of good people and having a great time. All right, glitter. Let me get myself organized. I got my chartreuse. There's my pearls. Emerald green. Get myself all organized here, which is a scary thing, me being organized. I still have enough. I spilled about half this jar of a silver holographic the first day doing this. Oh well, I know where to get more. So back to the overhead for you. And you can see in the paper towel. So I'm just going to take and put it out here on the paper towel. So I'm going to work from the paper towel, if you will. Take that same brush that I've been working with. Yeah, it's a little wet. Wipe off the excess. And all we're going to do is take the brush and just drop it right into our pile of glitter. Picks up glitter on the end of the brush. And then we're just going to start to add our glitter into our paint. And I'm going to do 3 different glitters. And then I'll do some pearl powders in both solid colors and in iridescent. And then what I found is I wrap it up. The last thing I do is I come back with some more of this holographic glitter that gives it that last little sparkle. I don't know if you saw the pictures that I posted. It must have been Friday, probably Friday night or Saturday, where I had one of them that was really dark, and all you see is kind of the looks like it's real dark and black, and almost just looks like stars, and that's the holographic glitter that's showing. So I'm excited about anytime I come up with something new and it seems to have tons of potential, I get all kinds of excited about it. And again, this is not rocket science. Really, it's just a matter of being willing to use up a little bit of materials to experiment. It's all about experimenting, if you ask me, to come up with something new that you hadn't done before and to get a nice effect. Okay, and that's a good coat of silver holographic. Okay, taking shape. All right, so we're gonna leave that one right there. Put your lids back on, or you'll have a wreck like I did. Now I'm gonna go with the emerald green. Now the emerald green is a strong color, right? And then we'll go over it with the chartreuse. It's a strong color, but don't be afraid of it because it adds a nice character to it. Although I'll say this, that I come in a little bit lighter with the brush on the emerald green, and so that I don't get carried away. I don't want it to overpower. Like sometimes you get a little heavy batch and just come back and hit it. If you want to know how to get the right mindset, just go look at Jackson Pollock. Find some movie or video of Jackson Pollock working, and you'll be set. All right. It's just random. It's random with a plan. That's the way I like to think about it. I have a plan, and you work kind of randomly, and you just find that look that you're looking for. Sometimes you find something that you didn't know you were looking for, and you go, hey, that's really cool. So like I said, this would be a good project if you have kids or grandkids that want to help you in the shop. Put them on this part of it. You can't go really wrong. Worst case scenario is you just do it again. It actually goes pretty quick. Get some green down in that. Come here, green. Down in that valley there. There we go. Okay. So that's some emerald green. Next color up is chartreuse. Hey, Jeff Peters. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for popping by the show the other day. I know you couldn't turn on your mic because of your colleagues at work. I get that. I understand it. All right, chartreuse. I've always tried to figure out how to define the color of chartreuse. I'm not sure what it is, but I like it. This is so right up my alley, so to speak, on how I'd like to do work. You know, some people it might not interest at all, and that's okay. Everybody's got their own idea what they think is fun and cool and interesting to do. And that, to me, is the most important thing. If you enjoy whatever you're working on and whatever project or technique you're trying, if it makes you happy, by golly, that's what you ought to be doing. This is my philosophy, and I'm never going to change it. If you're doing stuff that you don't like because you just want to be like the other guys, well, I mean, that's up to you. But at the end of the day, who are you trying to please? Who are you trying to make happy and enjoy in life? It should be yourself. Again, personal opinion being interjected there. Okay. So another thing about the glitter, when you think about this glitter is hexagonal, so it has a lot of character to it. It has a lot of sides, facets, and it's going to reflect in a lot of different ways. Now, one thing that I'm not sure about, we won't know until I kind of get in here on these kind of things. Let me pop this into overhead. Is how much of this maybe has floated off into the swirls. And what's really amazing, when I show you when I mix this and when I add the pearl powders to it, this is pretty much just a translucent dye. Kill that overhead there, or the color key. This is really almost a clear resin. I mean, I tint it, and you'll see just ever so slightly, and then I add the pearl to it, just a little bit of pearl, and it's amazing how much effect the pearl has, but yet it gets to maintain its translucence. And I know I'll go up here a little bit closer, but it'll go out of focus on this stuff. It looks like it's a foot deep. And it's because you can see past all the translucent powders down into the solid. And I'm really happy with it. And the swirls, and I'm casting this one, it's pretty hot. I mean, it's just about ready to gel. So this migration probably is happening from the heat. Is the thermal reaction going on is probably making these pearls and this resin move just a little bit as it heats up in the pressure pot. Jeff says, will the cloud paint hold the glitter on, or do you need a finish to lock it? No, it locks right on with the cloud paint. And that's the one thing I said I'm kind of curious about. Am I going to see any of the glitter have floated off into the resin when we turn this? And I don't know, but looking at those two pieces that I was just rotating, I don't see any glitter that looks like it came loose. So I'm going to say it's glued on. And like now, I mean, there's nothing loose on here. When I shake one of these, nothing comes off. So I say it's glued on there really well. If you were concerned, you could go ahead and put a coat of resin on it. Or a coat of WRU-20 urethane, or a shot of lacquer, anything you wanted to, but I don't think you need to. I don't think it's necessary. I think there's probably an extra step that you don't really need to add in there. And speaking of temperature, while we're here, I know it hasn't been very long, but let's take the temperature on this. 73, so it was 69. So it is starting. What's the temperature in the shop here? The cabinet's 70 degrees. That wall's 69. So the room is 70 degrees. 75 on the north side where the sun is hitting it, because it's 78. So that side of my building, which is getting cooked by the sun right now because it's not summertime to be overhead and get in the shade, that's the hot side, that's the cool side, and I'm in the middle. All right, pearl powders. Pearl powders. We'll set our glitters off to the side here. Iridescent blue, red, gold, green, and solid blue. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 powders that we'll work with. Solid blue, and then iridescent gold, iridescent blue, iridescent red, and iridescent green. So I'm going to put some solid blue on first, then I'm going to come over it with the iridescence. So pop you into the overhead again. And I'm just working, as you can see, right out of the same pile with everything. Not worried about things mixing. I mean, we're mixing it like crazy right on the piece. So if you get it too heavy like that and you freak out, just brush it around real quick. I had a little pocket right there. And if you've got a pocket that's really wet, it may stick a little bit more. But hey, it's not a big deal at the end of the day with considering what we're building up here. And if you find that you think you did too much of something, you just counteract it with another. Kind of like if you put too much salt in a soup or a stew where you throw some potato in there and it sucks up that salt. So you can come back and add another coloration. And like I said, we're going to put glitter back over top of all this again for the last little sparkle. It's amazing what these look like. It doesn't look like a piece of wood at all. Another thought, so I've got all these different ideas about what you might do with these. I'm kind of curious about cutting through, slicing them, if you will, pretending like the castings are a core and slicing them like a medallion or a pendant and see what kind of comes of that. So that's enough blue. I'm going to brush that extra blue off for a minute because I got all the blue on there I want. I'm going to go with iridescent gold. Now this comes out white, and sure it's going to pick up some of that blue that's on the paper towel. I can see the humidity is finally starting to, even in the sealed jars, getting to stuff around here. But I might try some pendants with them, cross-section these, and see what I get. Only one way to find out. All the excess glitter can go into an empty jar labeled miscellaneous. No, not here. It just goes into the floor and into the jar called swept up into pile. Don's here. Don Faulkner. In the completed cup, do you have a piece similar to what you were painting with the same color types? Well, so yes, this piece, Don, is identical to what I'm painting now, and this is identical to what's in these pieces that I have already cast. Okay, so there'll be 4 of these that I will have made when it's all said and done. So the same process is in these that I've already cast, and this is the one that we're going to cast today. Pretty much all the same colors, plus or minus. Just don't ask me to remember all the way back to Friday exactly what order I might have done things in on Friday, because I might not remember. And see, these pearl powders, the iridescence, they're going to bounce off of both the dark colors here, and even though they might look white right now, when it gets in the resin, the colors in the resin are going to help make us get our bounces there as well. Okay, and now I'm going to go with some iridescent. I'm going to put the blue on later. Let's go with red. And these tints are just barely going to show up right now, but they're part of the bigger picture, part of the layering picture. You see, as I brush it down and I get rid of any excess, is the white excess you'll see there, and then you start to see those colors. So don't be afraid that it's going to be white, because it's not going to be. And again, if you think about when this gets turned and cut through, what I'm looking for, and this is the best way I can try and explain it. Excuse my arm reaching through here. Hit my controller. On a piece like this, so this is the same burl, the same root burl. Imagine all these little edges having just a real fine band of these colors that we've added, this iridescence and the glitters, just a fine line around there. I'm hoping that's part of what happens, or where it gets cut right through, because it is bonded to it. And so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like when you cut through right to the very edge, and in all these nooks and crannies. Now, we haven't turned any yet, so we don't know. Like I said, this is an experiment. That's the shiny side. And the resin cast is much more translucent than this. This is quite opaque here. So the cast is very transparent. So I'm really excited to get in here and turn on some. And yeah, this board here, it's kind of fun when you sweep it off, then you get to see all the colors on the black there. Okay, and I'm going to cut some caps on here before I get too far along, so I don't have a spill. I'm going to go with the iridescent gold next. That was the entire jar. I don't think I really wanted to do that. Not that I don't have more, but I might want a little more as a backup. You would never think that you could make art from chunks of wood that came out of the ground around the base of your tree. Then again, you wouldn't think that you could take a rotten limb that fell off and been bug-eaten, laying in the bushes for a year or so, and turn it into a piece of turned art either. With stabilizing resin and old nasty wood, it's like a fantastic combination for really cool things. Again, this is all about layering the different colors in here. And now it's going to be really interesting because you've seen how dark the burl is. So when it gets turned through, like I say, I'm all about at least getting started turning a little bit on one of these today, just to kind of see what we get, just if it's just to scratch the surface. Okay? All right, and that was my iridescent green, actually. I said it was gold. Iridescent red. This stuff, I say, even though it's in sealed jars, you know, being down here in the deep south, it's gotten a little bit of humidity to it, I think, over the years. It's not quite as dried as it once was. And I think it's about the acrylic cloud paint has about soaked up all that it will take. So I'll brush this down real good. This is where we get rid of the excess whites. I might save our little paper towel there if we have resin left over today for whatever our leftover pour is. And we might put that in there. Blow that off a little bit. So no two come out alike. Right now this one has a different tint to it than that one. Okay. Just depends on which color you do and what order. Has chat frozen? No comments for a long time. You are at 11:50, so I would say no. I think just nobody's typing there, Doug. Because you popped right in. I could be wrong. Okay, back to glitter. Let's see if I get to look. No, was I going to do? No, that's all blue. I think I want to do one other solid color. I want to do this one a little bit different. I want to do one more solid color pearl powder. Can't do all these the same. We've got to do things different every once in a while. So let me come over here to the place. Maybe a dash of copper. And Doug, we'll test that for you, just so we can see. I believe it's fine. I think just nobody was talking, was chatting there, is my guess. And I'm going to change the screen of my own here while I'm back in the control room, just so I can see something different. All right, so this is a little bit different twist. This is copper, and we're going to add a dash of copper to this, and I'm going to be sparing with it, because one, I don't know what the reaction is going to be like, because it's a solid. So I'm actually going to kind of brush it out on the napkin and get it a little bit more diffused. And this come in here lightly. So it's going to add a little bit of that earth tone to it. Copper earth tone. But in a pearlescent. So just a little bit of a, there's all kinds of minerals in a meteorite, Um, so there's all kinds of things it can have color-wise. When I kind of came up with when I said to myself, that looks like a meteorite coming through space, I thought that's kind of a cool thing to call it. And then when the resin does what it does, I said, well, that looks like solar winds. Okay, so there's our copper along with some other. We'll just kind of clean up that, put it back in there. Brush it all real good. For that. And then back again with the last thing is the holographic glitter to put the extra sparkle back into it. So, some more holographic glitter just to add the twinkle twinkle little star back into the mix. Which really makes them pop, as people like to say. Now, to Jeff's question again, if you wanted to put another coat of something over top of this to be sure and lock it in, you could. I don't think it's necessary, but it wouldn't hurt anything. It definitely won't hurt anything. If you did, I would use something like the WRU-20 urethane that doesn't bring any sheen to it. It's just going to lock it in as a binder over the top. See, now it has all the little stars on it again. I love the holographic glitter. It brings a lot to the party. It really does. I think I want just a touch more. Yes, Don, the piece is pretty dry, although the stuff still sticks to it. Yes, the powders. So far, from what all these other three that I've done, the powders have stayed. They stay. I mean, there's still moisture content in it. Yeah, we're pushing the envelope, the edge of being wet and dry. But that moisture is still kind of soaking up through there. All right, so there's our piece from today. That one's got a lot of undulations and character to it. And to your question, guys, so this piece I did 2 days ago, and it doesn't. So if I take my hand, my palm, I don't have anything really coming off of it. Okay, so it does seem to stick pretty well. Okay, so this one we're going to set out of the way so we don't get confused. All right, and this is our old one. This is the one we're going to cast today. And I'm going to set this off to the side for now. And wipe some of the dust off of the tabletop here. Take off my glove. So you guys, I know you miss seeing me and all that, but you get enough of looking at the top of the lathe. Let's see, what's our temperature doing? Keeping an eye on this guy. 77, so we've got time. And my key is gone, so if I turn that button on, then the key will come back. Otherwise, I have my Kermit the Frog green screen on. Okay, let's do this then. So we're only at 77 and 12 o'clock, so we have an hour. So let's put one of these pieces into the lathe. All right, and see kind of what we get. We'll do a little turning on it. What I will do is move the resin out of the way I'll put it over here. So we don't get chips in it so much. Don't let me forget to check the resin temperature again in about 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, let's see. We need the Easy Chuck for flexibility here. Since we don't know what size jaws we're going to be holding this with. Now, one of the things that I'm thinking about, like the first thing that comes to mind, people say, "Well, that'll make a great egg." So I think I'm kind of going to go about these as though they might be an egg. And for the egg, I like to have a base, and so I would put a brass insert in eventually. But we're not going to finish turning this thing. We're just going to kind of get into it. So let's see if we can hold this with a set of 2 3/8 inch jaws today. And what we'll do is we'll turn some and we'll wipe it down with denatured alcohol to see what the look is looking like. So let's see what that looks like in the overhead. I'll watch on Facebook there and see if I need to turn off the key or not. Probably is showing the gray, and then I'll turn it off now so I can see the difference. There's a lot of sheen in it. There's a lot of lights in the studio here, and we'll see if that changes that sparkle there. That flicker. Yep, the flicker went away. So I'll leave the chroma key off. Again, whenever I flip back to myself, if I have the chroma key turned off, you'll see my green screen. Not the end of the world. You just don't get to see the pecan farm out the back window. Just bringing up the tailstock. And I think first, oh, banjo, Bradley. Kind of hard to turn without a banjo. Details, details. So the first thing I'm going to do, though, is clean up this very end here. So that I get a little bit better grip with the live center. And we're going to actually turn that around, I believe, and drill for the brass insert as well. Probably need to back that up just a little bit so be in the middle of that camera and you can still see that one. Hopefully this focus won't go too bad when I zoom this in. I'll tell you what, let me change this so you don't get nauseous when I move this camera around a little bit. Because I want to get you right in there where it's going on. Someday I'll buy a bunch of $2,000 PTZ cameras and we won't have that issue. And I'm going to change the focus on that for us. and see if we can't get it back. Focus, there we go. Now it's an autofocus, and then back to manual, and we should be good. Okay, now got you right in there. Good deal. But it's so close. It's close to St. Patty's Day. Green is nice. I always get in trouble with Bridget, my wife. I never know when St. Patrick's Day is. She's Irish, and it's not on my calendar in my head. It's not on my radar. It never is. And she'll start talking about St. Patrick's Day, Don, and I'll go, "When is St. Patrick's Day?" She says, "It's always the same day, da 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 da." I go, "Okay, I know, but I don't ever remember." It's not important to me. I'm Scottish. I'm not Irish. I don't think. All right, I need negative rake cutters. Looks like I thought I had a mid. There we go. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Double check everything's snug. That's good. That's good. Reverse is bad. Yeah. Okay. Going to get this flattened out so we can kind of see what things look like, and then we'll bring the tailstock up and do a little shaping on it. And one thing about the wood, the stabilized wood, is the burl is actually really hard. It's harder than the epoxies. So I'm going to take a second and rotate this carbide cutter because it doesn't feel super sharp. So I'm going to take just a second and rotate this guy around, hoping for a better edge. The negative rakes you can't resharpen yourself like you can the standard ones. I don't know how long this one's been on here. So I'll just give it a quarter turn and hope for the best. I know I don't have one out here with me to replace it with. It may or may not make a difference. We'll find out. Let's hope it does. Okay, a little bit more of that divot there, but we'll take a little bit more off it, and then we'll get some denatured alcohol out here. One of the big ribbons of resin just came off and went right down the back of my turning jacket. It's amazing how hot it is. Okay, let's take a look at this with a little bit of denatured alcohol. Stay on there. And run over here and get some. It just gives us a flash idea of what it'll look like. I had a squirt bottle of it and I carried it away to somewhere else. Imagine that. But we'll just get some, put it in a little container here. Set that off where I won't spill it. But I did anyway. Famous last words, set it off where I won't spill it. I spilled the little container. Let's see what this looks like underneath. This is a great way to kind of get a clue what your stuff is going to look like. It only lasts a second. That's pretty cool. And so I can see all my colors that I'm talking about on my edge. I don't know if you can see them, but right along the edge is those crazy colors. Ever so slightly. And then the dark wood, of course, and then the swirls and the resin from the pearl powder. So that's cool. All right, I'm liking that. Like I say, you never know what you're going to get. So we're going to just kind of shape this guy down, get it round and true. This is the kind of filler while we're waiting for our resin to get close. I'm going to check its temperature again because when it starts to climb, I want to be sure I'm on it. So 81. So we're starting to go on up. Starting to head on up the ladder. There we go. Let's go to the overhead. Right, what am I up to? Face mask. When we get up around into the 90s on the resin, I'll start to split it out and break up the colors. But let's keep on with this for the moment. We'll just get this guy trued up. Throw some chips around the room. Once you get these cleaned up, they are just about the perfect size for a dragon egg. So it's about 15 ounces of resin that I use. So if you're wondering, you know, how much resin would it take, basically a pint to do one of these. And as you can see, we're back into good old resin turning, where you're covered up with strands and strings. But it's fun! Now that's coming around nicely. Okay. And I'm just gonna get this all round right down to where the tenon area is, just as a cylinder for right now. Again, this cutter does need to be replaced. People ask, you know, how do you know when it's time to change them? And I always say, well, when they don't cut like they used to. Oh, this is cool. This is cool. I'm happy. This is looking good. We'll give it some of the shape it's going to have. Because this is going to be the bottom down here. This will be the top in this case, just because the way it's easier. Because then I can put it in a mandrel. Once I put the brass insert in the end down here, I'll put in a brass insert from the bottle stoppers, from stainless steel bottle stoppers. Then I can turn it around and put it on one of the bottle stopper mandrels. One of these guys. Let me hold that right there. And put that on the headstock end and finish and completely turn the piece. Okay, let's put some juice on that. Get me out of the ribbons here for a second. So now we have the burl showing. We have our iridescent powder colors and glitters on the edge. And then we have our swirls, our solar wind going on in here. So again, a spritz bottle is better, but a paper towel works in a pinch for your alcohol. So this thing looks like it's a foot deep. I know you can't see because it's not zoomed in as well, or super tight. But you get the brown of the burl, you get the colors from the outside of all that stuff we did this morning. And then you can see way down into the resin because it's so translucent and with the swirls. So this will make a great hybrid. Quite an interesting, combination. This dark, rich burl from the roots, and then all the swirls, and I'm pleased. And I can see how I've got this red tint in here, at least in that spot, from the iridescence in the powders. And there's no telling what it'll look like as it shows, because the wood is going to be just sporadic as it comes through. So I'm super pleased. Let's check the temperature on our resin. 1217, 82. See, I want it to be up around the 90 before we start going anywhere with it. Otherwise, it'll mix too much, and those swirls they won't be as swirled. So we're going to turn a little bit more. I can stay short here. I know that this is where I'm going to put my brass insert in, but I can start shaping on this some just to work with the time. So we'll just keep turning and bringing this into shape a little bit more. like I say, we're just waiting on the resin to come along. All right. I think I'll just keep working with that same cutter I'm working with. It's not super sharp. I wish I had a fresh one to put on here because it would go faster. Again, stabilizing resin I find to be harder than the epoxies or the urethanes. It's really hard stuff. But anyway, let's go. Let me get my face mask on, and we'll keep on shaping this guy, roughing it out, and getting it where she needs to be. And then we'll keep checking that resin. Speaking of resin, I don't know if you guys, some of you saw the post of this little bottle stopper I did the other day. I was just passing time during the woodworking show, and so it was just one kind of a neutral bland color. And so I got out the aniline dyes, the Chromacraft aniline dyes, and colored this with the dye. And it's really fun. And these little lines, the little teeny lines, if you can see there, those little teeny lines were done with the markers. Just ever so slightly touch it with the marker and make a super fine line. Really cool stuff. Okay. And so that I don't forget, because I got to plug the sale going on again. Don't forget, Spiracraft, brand new website is open, spiracraft.com, and 2 sales going on. Store-wide, 10% off, everything in the store. TWSV, it's actually the discount code that we're using at the woodworking shows right now. All the EasyWood tools and cutters are 15% off right now. That's EWT 15. And I'm going to give you, also those two don't work together. You have to split them out. You can't have the EasyWood discount in with any other order. But for those of you who haven't been to the site, if you'll go to the About page and read the About page and follow the suggestion at the very end, you get a little surprise. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay? All right, so let's go do some more turning here. We'll go to overhead. We'll turn off the key so that doesn't shimmer and go goofy. Hold that up a little bit. I'm turning about 1,200 shakes. So I'm turning about 1150, in case you're wondering. Now, I do not claim to be any kind of an expert on egg shape. But we'll work our way on into it anyway. You know, probably, you can't see up here, probably this egg may end up in here somewhere, the top of it. Which would give me what's from here to there for maybe my coaster idea, or not coaster, but my medallion idea. Always look for second projects. Don't just consider it just going to be a throwaway. Okay. Trying to keep in mind, that'll definitely make my cutter dull. Stick it into the tailstock, or the live center. I'm trying to keep in mind that my brass insert needs to go in there. Now I can always cut that back if I've made it too pointy. Okay, because I want it just to come right down. I'll make a little base that sits right up on here. Something like this that the base will sit down into, but probably smaller in this case. And that's what I use the brass insert for, is allowing that to grip. Okay, I like that shape right there. And I'm going to do something here. I'm going to take my parting tool. I use the Carter & Son 16th inch parting tool. And I'm going to just define myself a top where I think I want my piece to stop at based on the shape. And I could be wrong with this. So I just make a little cut, and then I start thinking about when this rolls back around in that egg shape, it might need to be a little bit higher. Again, the proportions of an egg I don't have in my head, exactly. But that gives me something to work to. And that rounds over. Because I don't, again, I don't, like I said, I don't want the proportions to be wrong. But at the same time, I don't want to waste. I got a whole nother project right here, okay? And I don't want to waste that resin. All right, so I'm going to work to that right now. That line right there, as my goal. So let's stay in the overhead. Yep. And actually, I'm going to go take a bunch of this away. And I only have a small square style negative rake. Let me try the small round one. I just want to get rid of some of this material. Okay, that'll be good. So hopefully you understand how this will work. This will get mounted on a mandrel on the brass insert, and this will get cut off, and we'll turn it around, and we'll have the whole piece free to shape. All right, let's take a look at something here. I think I'll clean that up a little bit, and I want to wipe it down. So I'll take that radius cutter again. Not that I'm done moving material, but I just want to smooth this up. This is the negative rake radius tool, and that'll help take some of the swoops and scallops out of the round tool cuts. There's a million and one things you could make with this little piece of material right here without any problem. All kinds of different things. I mean, this thing could go that way, and this could be the base, and this could be a hollow form. It's endless opportunities. That is cool. That is really cool. I'm super happy. Just kind of what I had in mind, give or take. You never know what I have in mind sometimes when you're just experimenting. Okay. Well, I am pleased with that. Let me check my resin over here. Okay, we're at 87, which means we're starting to climb. About 3 more degrees, and we'll start to mess with the resin. So I'm just going to refine this shape a little bit more just for the yucks. Again, to pass the time. I'm pleased as I can be with what's going on inside of that. And all from some scrap wood chunks, roots that came off a tree out in the backyard. And 15 ounces of resin. And we're going to get 2 projects out of this. No, I'm not going to completely, I think the last thing I'll do before we switch our gears here and do our resin is I think I'll drill the hole so that I can put the brass insert in. Let's go ahead and do that. That'll take me a few minutes to get switched around. And that way I won't be hung up missing out on being ready for the resin. Give me a chance to get things changed around a little bit. Again, I'm pleased as I can be with the way that's looking. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of clean this end off because I got that little nub sticking out there right now. And then we'll drill it with a 1/2-inch Forstner bit so that I can put the brass insert in it. Let's take this away. And I just follow that curve right around. In the overhead, you can't quite see it. But I followed that curve around so that the line goes all the way into whatever base I end up making up. Okay, I think that's just about what I got in mind. Yeah. Hopefully I didn't put the drill bit anywhere too far away. You know me and my organization. What is the mandrel? So this, Don, this is the mandrel that we've got in the shop. This is for the bottle stoppers. I think it should be in there. If it's not in there, I'll put it in there. This is from stainless steel bottle stoppers. It's 1.25 or 1 inch, depending on what your lathe takes. And there's actually 2 of them. This one is the universal. It has the larger diameter for the bottle stoppers. And then I have another one. There's one that has, they've gone to a new format, if you will, that has sleeves, bushings. So this one is the one that has uses a bushing. This is their newer style. And that's what I use for the keyring kits. This one fits, this is the universal, universal mandrel. I think it's BSW, something like that. But these are self-tapping threads, and they thread right onto the brass inserts. So when we put a brass insert in there, and if I have one laying around, or I can show you right here. So there's the brass insert in that bottle stopper. And when this piece was turned, this bottle stopper was turned, it was right on that mandrel, and the washer keeps your tool from hitting the mandrel. The mandrel was right on the shaft. And so that's what I'll do with this piece. I'll put a brass bushing in this end. Then we'll turn it around, put it on the mandrel, and the whole top will be, the entire shape will be available to me right up to the mandrel to turn. These things are super handy. I never started using them until I started carrying the bottle stoppers. And so, you can do a lot of things with it. Again, it's the same, I think it's a 3/8 thread. And again, these are self-tapping, so they will cut threads on their own. Super handy. And again, in the new store, I'm trying to think where they are because I've changed things around. If they're not in the project kits, I may not have put them in yet. They might be with the bottle stoppers. Look for the project kits and the bottle stoppers and see if they're there. If they're not there, I'll look when I get done here today. Like I said, there's some things I don't have in the store yet because I've been trying to get the most popular items up in there. Okay. But we have them. We got them. This is a Jacobs chuck style chuck that I got. My dad and I, when I first started turning, were at some symposium, and I got this big old thing, and I've had it for years and years. Turn the speed down. You can see I've got a little tape on there. And now I'm ready for my mandrel. I'll glue it in with 5-minute epoxy. And even though it sets in 5 minutes and all that stuff, I let them sit overnight. And we will be good to go. So I was going to see if I had one extra insert in there. We sell Spydercraft sells the inserts in a 6-pack. And that's the insert right there. And that'll just drop up in there. And then thread right onto the mandrel. This is the mandrel I think I messed up. I got some stuff on the threads. Yeah. So that's how this piece will get mounted up. So when it's all said and done, this will get cut right here. DevCon 5-minute epoxy. Just the stuff down there at the hardware store. And so this will be mounted right on the headstock. This will be cut away, and there will be my shape to turn. I'll have the entire piece free. I'll be right down to the bottom. I know my base is going to go right up to the bottom there. So everything is exposed. I can sand it, turn it, sand it, polish it, or if it's me, I'll spray lacquer on it instead of polishing and all that stuff. So I'll show you here real quick. So I'm pretty sure we got a few minutes on the, few more minutes on the resin. So that'll sit just like so. That'll be cut off, and I'll be free to turn this entire piece all the way around the tip, sand the entire piece. You can bring your tailstock up. You can put a urethane or rubber chucky on there. They also have another one that is a cone that is pretty cool. You can use on a cone. You can put this tip on a cone of a live center and have the threads going this way. Or the other thing you can do is if you have reverse threads down here, you can put a tip. The tip goes in, can go in there. That's if you have double-ended stuff. Lots of flexibility. So it's a great system. And I'm going to pull that off of there before I take it out. There we go. So now that's ready to get glued up. We'll just set that over with that piece. I am super happy with the way that's working out. All right, let's get some of this stuff out of the way. It's time to play resin. Resin casting. One of my favorite things to do. Okay, keeping an eye on this. Okay, so we've hit 90, so yep, we're starting to cruise now. Starting to crawl on up the scale. I got to walk over there, so I'm just going to hit the overhead camera for a second. Because I have to walk right in front of the camera. Get out what I call my molds. Again, you can tell that I am super thrifty on my molds and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm back. So, this is Panera Cup, McAllister's Deli, anywhere that has the Solo brand, and that's a dart. But it has the built-in tenon in the end. I use these all the time for all kinds of stuff. And so one thing I'm going to do is go ahead and spray some mold release in it. With the epoxy, I don't have to be particular. This is ejected. I also have some smooth on. If you're using urethanes, be sure that you're using one that the urethane is happy with. It can make a difference. The other thing I want to do, I should have done this before I did that, but I was talking. Now this one's going to be a little bit different today. So we won't be perfectly round. This is going to be up top. I need a bigger one. I've shot myself in the foot, gang. Usually I drop them in and they drop down in there. This one's a little bit too big to drop down in there. And I don't have a different style because I put pins over the top. I didn't test this part, so I'm busted for not testing that in a mold. Nothing. Let's see what we got here. That'll work. We're going a different route today. You got to think fast on your feet. Okay, so we're going to go with this. It's a little oval. I'd like a bigger one yet. Let me look around here. I still have time with that. I'm thinking, what do I have next door? This is thinking on your feet time here. Let me run next door. I will be right back. I might have something that will work for me. I didn't test this one out. I'm caught with my pants down on this. Let's see what we got over here in the other shop. We have a myriad of things, and we might just have something that will do the trick. Yep, we'll make a different shape today. And that's okay. I am the king of plastic containers from cheap stores. Perfect. We'll have a different kind of event. So that fits in there. It doesn't go over the top. Okay. So we'll have a different kind of process, which is actually good. I think somebody was telling me this is what I needed to do anyway. Up above is saying, Bradley, you know, try that other idea you've had. So, still, to keep this from floating, I'm going to want to put my skewers in here. And the way I do it is I'm going to put the holes in before I spray it this time. Where's the cottage cheese container? It wasn't big enough. That was the cottage cheese art. It wasn't big enough. I use my ice pick, and I use shish kebab skewers. Okay? So usually I just take my marker. We don't need that one after all. Because the piece, even though it's stabilized, sometimes they want to float. So I just mark. So I have a point of reference in a cross pattern. Again, these are cheap plastic containers from the Dollar Tree, so I don't worry about them. They're molds, as far as I'm concerned. And I poke a hole in it with my infamous ice pick. All right. Now, mold release. It'll pop out of there real easy anyway, but mold release does not hurt. We'll let that dry for a few minutes before we put our piece in there. Put our skewers off to the side. Bring my resin over. And I'm going to try and pour this off into 2 containers and not make a mess. Because again, this is a big old bowl. Just because I want to split this out a little bit. Give it a good stir. Even though it should be well mixed. Now, one thing that you could do here, I didn't do it because obviously I've been doing other things. You could degas this in the vacuum chamber. The whole time it's been sitting here, we could have pulled the air out of it. If we started the process a little sooner, when we put the pearlescent powders in, we could still degas it if we wanted to. So I also want, actually I want a third one. For just, I want a little bit of resin for a top third color drizzle, if you will. So I'm going to pour off the last of this over here. Just to have it separate. Now what I'm going to do is, for this piece, like I've done the others, I put a black base in the bottom in case that's how it ends up being turned, with something that wants a base in it. And if not, then it's no big deal. If it gets turned away, it gets turned away. I just want to get all this out of here. I'm always, whenever I see bowls on the impulse counter aisles in the boxes, the end caps that are cheap, I'm all about them. And then I don't have to worry about them when they get used up. Okay, so that's going to be my, for just a little bit of drizzle color at the top. This is going to be our main pour color. And this will be a black base. And I won't tint this until I've made sure that I've got enough to cover the bottom of my mold there for me. So, black tint. Always shake your tints up. Now we can make the black fairly strong. Couple of drops in there. Doesn't take much. You see what happens when you run out of yogurt cups? You end up having to do crazy things and reach way down in there. I need to go get more of the little, I'm going out there, I'm going to go buy at a Dollar Tree today and get more of those plastic cups that I've got there, since I'm out of yogurt cups. But the pigment, the black pigment mixes in really quick, and that's all good. I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. In this case, I can do this ahead of time. So that just gives me a little black base. And it looks like I've got, about a ½ an inch or so in the bottom, which is probably fine. Now that black is going to rise up a little bit when we put the other resin in. And that's okay. That's just part of the swirl effect that we get. And I'm going to put this with the peak down. Just like that. And then we'll take a skewer. And this is going to be exposed. The very top of this is going to be exposed. And we know that. And hopefully this cooperates with me today and doesn't roll around on me. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfectly round. I've pushed it out of shape a little bit just to hold that down. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do, this is my main batch of resin, and as you can see, it's a little amber in its color. Well, this main color, I just want to be quite translucent, and I have to now decide what color is that going to be. And don't accidentally use black, whatever you do. The marine blue, that worked out pretty well yesterday, and I have yellow. Yellow is close to the amber. Let's do red. So always shake your resin tints up really well. And we're going to make this really, really, really translucent, okay? And back to my skewers, these are my dippers too. And so I just stick this in the top of the resin. Let me put you into the overhead now. I get just a bit on there. I mean, that was just on the skewer. And we get this mixed all the way down to the bottom. See how you can see it's a little bit, hasn't quite gotten to the bottom yet, but it's getting there. So that little teeny amount makes it kind of strawberry. And you see still a little bit to go down in the bottom there. Very translucent, just enough color to have color. I'm going to put just a little teeny bit more on there. And I'm just going to get a drop on my skewer. Okay, now I'm going to add a pearl to that. Just a little teeny bit of pearl to this, and I'm going to go with iridescent pearlescent green, which looks white, and just a little dash. Okay, just a teeny amount. And what's amazing is when you see this come out of the mold, when I take a picture of it tomorrow, you'll be amazed at what happens between this little translucent red, that little teeny bit of pearl there, and what I do to this other color. What I make in this other color that I just drizzle over, that'll get us our cloud effect. For fun, let's take the temperature. 96.8, 96.6. It's coming along. As soon as I took it out of the bigger roll, as soon as I took it out of the bigger bowl, the temperature slowed down. The increase slowed down because it's a smaller amount. So we've got that mixed. We're going to set that off. I'd like it to be a little bit hotter, but it's almost 1 o'clock, so we'll go with it. So what color do I want to put in here? That was the red, just a tick of red with a tick of green. Don't think I want to use the yellow because that'll make brown. Let me go overhead. Let me go over here to my color box again, my color cabinet. And I'm going to go with a bit of making white maybe. If I could find my phthalo green, there's a green, and a gold satin white iridescent. Iridescent gold, there's, okay. I have a plan. Just a teeny amount of green, phthalo green actually. We'll go into our small batch here. Again, just a little teeny bit onto the skewer. These are really cheap at the dollar store as well. That's probably all I want right there, so I'm going to use the other end of the skewer and not add any more to it. Again, when you pull it up on the stick, you can see it's very translucent. And a splash of iridescent gold pearlescent powder. And that's a small amount of resin right there, so we'll do pretty small on our gold. Okay. Now, this is about what I say 90 was, about 90, 91. When these combine back together, they're going to start to speed up. Oh, I'm sorry about the key. You guys should have, yeah, Mark's got me. I looked up and I said, oh, the key's on. It'll go away, it's gone. It'll go away in a second now. You'll see it gone. That's why I need a producer. There we go. See what I mean? Well, I'm watching the 20-second delay over in Facebook there. I forget about that key all the time. There's got to be a way to automate that. Well, actually there is, but what I have to do is key the one camera, but all three cameras go through the same switcher right now, and I can't key one camera individually. What I need to do is set up to where my main front camera is keyed and the others are not, and then that would take care of the whole problem. It just hasn't been that high on my list. So again, we're probably around 90. Yep, right around 90. 94 on the bigger one. So it's going to heat up a good bit more once it gets all combined. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pour our pink. I call it pink because that's what it looks like. And we'll pour this all over everything. And it is mixing, it's going to lift that black up some, and that's okay. But I pour it in gently so it doesn't really aggravate it or agitate it too much. And I'll stop a little short to have room for the green, but I won't put much green in it because we want just a hint of it to happen. And the holes where the skewers go in, they make a natural drain hole. So if you overdo it. So I think I'm going to stop right there. Now I may come back with more of that, but I'm going to put the just a drizzle of green with the gold, and I'm going to put that right in the center again. And just let it find its own way out. This has the gold in it. I'm going to cheat a little bit to that side because I want to make sure some goes down that trough. And that trough. And when I get up to the bottom of my sticks out up there at the holes, which I'm just about at the holes now, where it'll start to come out of the holes. So I'll stop right there. So we have a little bit left over for some fun little egg pour if I can find the mold. Okay, so this now is ready to go into the pressure pot. You can see some bubbles coming up there. If you had time, you could actually degas this right now. That piece of wood with all those convolutions is going to bring a lot of air into the activity, into the mix. So you could quickly throw it in a vacuum chamber and pull that air out before putting it in the pressure pot, and it would greatly reduce your risks of air bubbles. Because like I say, we've got time. The entire mix, I know that I'm 115 to 135 is safe for me. I could go into the pot at 135 with this stuff, and it actually cooled off when we split it out. It's right around 90 or so. So I'm going to set this off for just a minute because we're just so we wrap up. And I'm just going to set this right over here. I'll put it in the pot after I wrap up, because we want to pour that into something real quick. And if I can find my egg mold in like 2 minutes, because it's 1:03, I will do that. I think I'm going to go around front, look for my egg mold real quick, so I can make a bottle stopper. There it is. We're all good. Egg mold. As seen on TV, these things are indispensable for that last minute little bit of resin that you got left over. I always keep them handy so I can make an egg. Let's have fun with this egg today. And let's put some spin gems in it. Purple, brown, I'm just reaching. Black spin gems. Black and pink and green. What do you think? So we're going to go overhead. These are, it's actually crushed polyester. And I'm going to fill this about half full. And I'm going to basically make concrete. Okay? I'm going to pour a little bit of each of these in there. And I'm going to mix it up like a concrete slurry so that it goes all the way through. And I think this mix is calling for some more iridescent powder. With this black, with all this black in here, we need iridescent powder like a madman. So, let's just dump a bunch of iridescent gold in it. Won't hurt a thing. Give it some character. Pour in a little bit more of our both our color resins. It'll just be a bottle stopper for fun. It could be pretty, it could be ugly, it could be the most unique thing I've ever made. I'll post it tomorrow. We'll see what it looks like. We want to get that all the way around in it. That's a whole bunch of gold iridescent for this amount. But I figured, what the heck, right? Because what will happen is when you turn this and you cut open all the black polyester, all the little stones, then you'll get solid black out of your piece. So even though it looks all gold right now, when you turn it and you cut those black, all those little facets of black polyester stone, you cut those open, then you get a speckled look. So this should be pretty cool. And we'll just top it off just to finish her off. This I won't even bother to throw in the pressure pot. I'll just leave it be. I usually don't have any trouble with these, usually. If I can find room to stick it down in there without knocking over the other one, I will. Okay. And there is a, I'm going to hold up by the side. That'll be a bottle stopper with our excess. Okay, and we still have a tick left. If I had another egg mold handy, I could make another one. I can probably have enough for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this off into one of these little cups, because that'll make another little something. So let's do that. I'm not done yet. If I got resin, I'm pouring it until I run out of things to pour it into. All right? Because I can make a little medallion or something here. I do not waste any resin. We'll go instant dry, if you know what I mean. And Arthur's saying the key, the green must be looking weird. And so we'll pour both of these into here. No good way to scoop that pink one, the pink out. I can scoop out the green, so I can reach it. And I'll take a skewer, try and scrape out the pink. I know it's red, but I keep calling it pink. Come on down. Get it in the cup, bruh. I got a paddle mixer somewhere for this. Of course, do you think I know where it is right now? Absolutely not. That's close enough to using it all up. That'll do the trick. And since this is so close to setting, let's take, for fun, a little holographic silver, my favorite. Put it in there. This will probably set pretty quick, so it won't have a chance to sink all the way to the bottom. We'll have some strange little color with a bunch of glitter in it. And since we're making a mess, satin white pearl and iridescent blue. Nothing else, it'll be a cool looking paperweight. But it definitely will be something. We'll just, all right, so there's that. We didn't waste anything. We've got all our stuff used up. Okay, gang, it is 11 after 1. I better quit. I appreciate everybody coming out today and hanging around. I hope you enjoyed what I did, and I hope you find inspiration in it. It's a lot of fun. You guys know me. I have a ton of fun doing this. I was going to say I haven't had one go wrong yet, but that's a matter of attitude and perception. I'm really happy with the way this is looking. I'm super happy with that. Can't wait to turn this one. The one that's about to go into the pot's going to be a different look. The next thing I probably will do with this kind of stuff is I've got like 4 or 5 Molly burls on the desk in there that I've been wanting to do, maybe sphere with or something like that. So lots of different things going on in my head. Woodworking shows again every weekend, Friday, Saturday. Don't forget discount codes in the Spiracraft's new website. Again, I'll say those site-wide, store-wide is, now I forget it all of a sudden, TWSV, the Woodworking Shows Virtual, that's the Woodworking Shows code. And all EasyWood tools and cutters are 15% off, and that is EWT15. That's a simple one. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Stay safe. Hope to see you at the Woodworking Shows. If not, I might see you Thursday night. Come join me. I will be here. And if not, we'll see you next Monday. Have a great week. Stay safe. And I thank you very much. We'll see y'all. Put that right there. Do something for fun, just for yucks. I can cut this out. I never put the intro back at the